On July 5, 2000, history was made. Tax Matters, a television program wholly and exclusively devoted to information and education on taxation, was broadcast for the very first time on NTA2 Channel 5 Lagos. This was a groundbreaking event, as prior to that, there was no program either on TV or radio that was devoted to tax education. Today, to the glory of God Almighty, Tax Matters is 25 years old. In this sit-down interview, Mr. Muyiwa Tuluko, the concept developer, the initiator of the idea, and the first presenter, shares the story of Tax Matters. Mr. Muyiwa Tuluko is the initiator, the concept developer of the program Tax Matters, the first program to be aired on taxation in Nigeria, which has impacted the populace by enlightening and educating them on the obligations, duties, and rights under the various tax laws in Nigeria. And we can attest today that taxation is on the lips of everyone. Mr. Matuluko will be walking us down memory lane, how it all began and where it is today. Mr. Matuluko, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Amaka, for having me.
Let us begin by asking you, how did it all begin?
It all seems like yesterday. And you will hear this from me several times in the course of this interview. Taxation found me. I started my working career at the Federal Department of Culture, which was housed at the National Theatre in Igomu in Lagos. And after 8 years, I moved into the love of my life, advertising. When I was in A-levels, when we were doing HSC, High School Certificate, I used to dream about either becoming a broadcaster or an advertising practitioner. So the media, that space was always my love. So I got into advertising, began at Rosabel Advertising in 1990, precisely November 5, 1990. And then moved to Comex Advertising in Surulere, and then Interpublic Nigeria Limited in Oyinbo. Now, Interpublic was in a very unique place, just opposite us, 2-3 minutes by 3 minutes walk was the railway compound. And going that way, to your left, is actually a one-way traffic. That way, this way, coming out at Interpublic. So after the railway compound entrance, you will find the local government office and all that and all that. And we were in a very vantage position. Most times, if the Danfo buses, the public transport buses, if they didn't want to reach Oyinbo, they will use some tricks and pretend as if their vehicle was bad. They will stop in front of our office and then be able to turn back instead of crossing the railway line into Oyinbo proper. So we used to get visits from local government people, from the State Internal Revenue Service. Even the FRS came, and I will get to that presently. Every other day, somebody will come from the local government. Once in a week, they will come from the state government. There was a day that they came in a Danfo bus. I'm sure you know what we call Danfo, these Volkswagen buses. About 14, 15 of them, including 2 policemen. They came to ask for something, tax related, of course. And I got so angry, so pissed off. I came out to them. Don't you have any work? What do you think we do here? Why are you coming to harass us every day? My boss, our managing director, Mr. Shola Oluwole, got so angry that he asked us to bring down our signboard. We had this signboard, Interpublic, very big one. To us, maybe that was what was attracting them. So we pulled it down. Somebody came from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, a lady. She came to ask about value-added tax. We had this gentleman, Mr. Dameda, who was like our Man Friday, clerk, accountant, Man Friday for the company. I was overhearing their discussion. Again, I got angry. I got up. Madam, what's the problem? Said she came to ask for value-added tax, that we're owing so much. And I asked her, what do you think we do here? She looked at me. She said, this is an advertising agency. I said, okay. Now let me explain to you. If you want to place an advert in a newspaper and the cost for a full page is 100,000. If you give us 100,000 naira, that money belongs to that newspaper. We will get a commission. That was the practice then. That is the practice today. Even today, as I'm talking to you, Amaka. 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on how big your agency is, how well you can negotiate, how important you are to the media house, television, radio, newspaper. So, madam, if VAT is due from us, it's on our commission, not on that total sum. If you want your full VAT, you go to that newspaper house. Why are you harassing us? Don't come here again. Oh. If you come, I'll come to your office. She said she was from the Obalende office. She left. So it went on and on. The harassment continued. The visits became more regular. And the idea began to tug at my heart. Start a program, an enlightenment program. Free the populace with knowledge. Enlighten the populace. Then suddenly I saw an advert in the newspapers announcing a program of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, which was going to be induction of new members into the ranks of tax practitioners. To take place at the National Theatre. I recall that I told you I started my working career at the National Theatre. So we had this tradition at the National Theatre where any event that took place in any of the halls, the main hall, Cinema Hall 1, Cinema Hall 2, Banquet Hall, we will record to keep. We had a vibrant production department. So off I went to the National Theatre. I went to my colleagues and I spoke to one Sufyan, who later on will be the one that will cover the events that became the source materials for what became tax matters. Sufyan, there's this event at the main hall on so date. Cover it for me. If they allow me to enter, I will come. Otherwise, just cover it for me. I went and I was admitted. I was allowed to go in. And I asked for the PRO, the public relations officer. They took me to him, one Mr. Lawal, nice gentleman. I introduced myself. He asked me what medium. I told him I was just going to start a program, a public enlightenment program on taxation. Oh, he was excited. Do you have all you want? I said, yes, we had recorded. Okay. He said there was going to be an event a week or two from then at the Sheraton Hotel in Ikeja on the Education Tax Fund. I would do well to cover it. I said, oh, that's fine. So, again, Sufyan and I went to the Sheraton Hotel. We got there and found that the organizer, the owner of the consultancy firm that was putting together that workshop, was one gentleman, Ladi Smith, who I knew at the Jaja Hall at the University of Lagos. He read accountancy, I read history. We were casual friends, but we knew ourselves. Oh, he was excited too. We finished the paper presentations. We conducted some interviews. One of the people we interviewed, quite naturally, was Mrs. Oluwatoyin Olakunrin of blessed memory now. She was the chairman of the board of the Education Tax Fund. First female accountant in Nigeria. She also asked who we were, what medium were we representing. I told her that the program was in the pipeline. Tax matters. Oh, she was excited too. Then Ladi Smith walked up to me again and said, just like Mr. Lawal did at the National Theatre, the annual tax conference will take place in May. You will do well to cover it. I said, that's a big one, annual tax conference. I told him I didn't have money. He said, you know conferences now. You will eat. There will be lunch, dinner, breakfast. Just find your way to Abuja. I had not been to Abuja. The federal capital was just about 7 years old. 7, 8 years old. Again, Sufyan, we are going to Abuja. We took bus, Chisco, in Jibo. He told me he had gone to cover the AGM of one bank. So we went. On that bus journey, these luxury buses were in vogue. Nigerians like to call them luxurious. These luxury buses, Ekene, Chisco, ABC, God is good. On board that same bus was who I later got to know was the registrar of the CITN, Mr. GFS Jagede. He was registrar. He later became president of the CITN. He became a federal permanent secretary. And some other members of his staff. He in fact paid for our taxi from the park to Sheraton. We didn't have a cover on us. Oh, okay, maybe a few naira. Money was good then. The bus was about 1,200. My wife went to borrow 10,000 naira. 2 of us went to Abuja. We had used about 2,400, 2,500 for transport. True to Mr. Ladi Smith's prediction, he introduced us to the conference organizer. The CITN always has somebody in charge of the annual tax conference. One Mr. Shola Oyetayo. We were introduced to him. One thing led to the other. They said they couldn't get us rooms in the hotel. He gave us 10,000 naira cash. Imagine for a program that had not started. We were not NTA, we were nobody. They gave us 10,000. We went to Zone 4. Don't forget that I said we didn't know Abuja. But we found our way. Sheraton Hotel to Zone 4. You could even trek. We got to Zone 4, slept, came the following morning and started the annual tax conference. That annual tax conference was the third event we were covering. We had covered induction. We had covered a workshop on education tax fund. And the annual tax conference, they said, was their second one. So that one we covered in Abuja in the year 2000 was the second. Oh, we went to town. We interviewed. You will see the fruits of that in the first few episodes of Tax Matters. We'll share snippets as part of the insights of this interview.
Good evening, viewers. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be with you this evening on this very first episode of Tax Matters. I am Olumuyiwa Masiliko. Today and every Wednesday at 10 Tax Matters will reach you from NTA 3 Channel 5. Your Tax Matters will be entirely devoted to taxation issues. Tax Matters will inform, educate, and enlighten the tax-paying public on the various taxes payable in Nigeria, the mode of payment, and where to pay. Tax Matters will simplify taxation issues.
It's not very exciting. So we need to make it more interesting.
Taxation is the basis and the root of development of any economy.
A tax professional is a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. If anybody who is not a member of the institute calls himself a tax practitioner or a tax administrator, he will be violating Decree 76 of 1992, which sets off the institute. In that decree, qualifications a tax professional must possess is clearly stated, and he or she must be a member of the institute. Just like anybody who has not passed through law school cannot call himself a lawyer.
The chartered tax practitioners are those who are actually working in practice, whereas the administrators are those who are working in federal and revenue, and so on, who are also members of CITN. and jointly, it, the two of them put together constitute the membership of the CITN.
Let me be frank with you. If you don't have a good accounting knowledge, you find it very difficult to check anybody's books as far as tax is concerned.
The tax administrator is a public or civil servant, as they call themselves, but in tax, in the Federal Internal Revenue, and their own main job is receiving the assessment, receiving and reviewing the computation submitted by the tax practitioner, who in most cases are offshoot or an arm of a firm of chartered accountants. Upon receiving the computation, they will review and raise assessments which the taxpayer pay, after which they will examine the computation and raise any further questions that may become necessary, through which additional tax may become payable.
What is taxation? Who pays? Who collects? You know, simple questions. Don't forget, poor man, BA history, F9 mathematics. But everybody was excited. Everybody was excited. We spoke to a lot of people, Chief J.B. Okele, T.A. Ayewumi from the FRS, a lot of them. Chief Olorunleke, the doyen of taxation, the first ever president of the CITN. We spoke to a lot of people. We had fun. We came back to Lagos. Now, Muyiwa Matuluko, you have materials. Go over this. Which way forward? Somebody asked me to go to one studio in Surulere. I went. The guy told me what I needed to do. We'll do montage, we'll find theme music, blah, 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 blah. I went to a friend of mine who I got in contact with in advertising, who I got to know during the elections, the ill-fated 1993 elections. He said he could do montage for me for 100,000. 100,000, he said yes. I went back to the gentleman in Surulere. That guy took 15,000. We used that montage for about 10 years. We can play that for you now. Ogaga Ohawore. Ogaga, that's the name of the gentleman. Brilliant guy. I came, he had done something. He told us what he wanted. We went out, covered the business district of Marina from the top of the bridge. Don't forget, we had been to Abuja. We were very proactive. We had the headquarters of the FRS. We had the headquarters, the then headquarters of the ETF. It was called ETF then, Education Tax Fund, not TED funds that it's known as today. And that headquarters was where they call in Abuja Banex Plaza area. We covered that one. So we covered the business district of Marina. Ogaga puts signs of dollar, of pounds, of naira. Beautiful thing. Did I have any music in mind? Did I want a music score? I said I didn't have money. He got one. And I told him it reminded me of the theme music of Hawaii 5-0. We grew up on a heavy dose of Hawaii 5-0. No, that was what he now did for us. But Hawaii 5-0 was something that he said, no, it was not Hawaii 5-0. Okay, whatever you want to do. At least I was getting it cheaply. If it will not bring up questions, if you not throw up questions on copyright, he said no, that they had libraries that they had a right to use certain things from. And that in any case, they had time limitations. And of course, montage will not be more than 30 seconds. So, banana, 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 oh my God, it caught on. I recall that after about a few episodes of the program, people were telling me that once they heard that music in their kitchen, in their bedroom, they would run to the sitting room and they would say, that's why it was about to start. One man told me that his wife would be the kid. Say, your husband is on television. No, the husband used to call the wife, my wife, because the woman was hooked on tax matters. She used to work at the Lagos Internal Revenue Service. Can't remember her name now. Your husband is on air. The woman would abandon whatever she was doing in the kitchen. So we put together the montage, the music. As for materials, our hands were full. Induction, ETF workshop, annual tax conference. So went to town. Airing. Okay, so you have recorded. Television station, uncle. So I went to NTA 2. That was easily the best in Nigeria at that time. Of course, Lagos was our base. We wanted to start in Lagos. But take it from me. NTA 2 Channel 5 Lagos, I had been in contact with NTA people, especially the marketing department people, from my days in advertising. My second agency, we were advertising North Star, Canvas, produced by Bata, the then Bata. We were advertising Abisco biscuits and a few other things. So I knew them in the marketing department. Easter party, we would sponsor the children's party, Christmas party. So I went to them. One Mr. Niyo Ileye was the marketing manager. I went to him. I want to start a program. He said, what was it about? I said, something with a business program with a special bent. He said, what did I mean by that? I was hesitant. Amaka, you know why I was hesitant? I was afraid that they would steal my idea. They had the yam, they had the knife. This was a EV station. Here was I, naked, so to say. He said I should trust him. Okay, it's something on taxation. Is that what you are hiding? Who will watch? Who will watch? Taxation was an unpopular topic. I tell you today, it still remains unpopular all over the world. But things are better, thanks to people like us. If you have your money, what was he talking about? There were 3 major models then. I don't want to say now because things have changed a little bit. People now get onto YouTube, TikTok. But in those days, and we were told this in the training school, you could get sponsored to record a documentary, a program. A TV station could fund it. A foundation can fund a documentary. And that's why you can watch a documentary on an elephant getting pregnant, delivering a baby after 3 years, because some foundations will put their money behind it. So the producers will not go hungry. You could be in association with a TV station. They will give you money, produce drama episodes for us, do this, do that. You share revenue. Because when you now begin to air, adverts will come in and all that, and you will share revenue. The third model, outright purchase of airtime. So he said, go and bring your money. I didn't have money. How much was it? I think about 300,000 naira for a quarter of 13 episodes. And bring your pilot. Okay. I left. Don't forget that we had put together something. I told the pilot, he asked me to go to the programs department. Mr. Olafajemisi was in programs department. I gave it to him. I think he asked me to come back a few days after. In the year 2000, no GSM, nothing. Of course, we had night airlines, but he asked me to come back. When I got there 2-3 days after, he told me he had passed. Had I paid? I said, pay for what? He said, for airtime. What do you mean? He said he had passed the demo. That was what it was to me, to the to OD, the transmission room. Okay, I have not even paid, and that was a pilot. He said it was fine. Amaka, when I left Mr. Fajemisi, I entered my car, drove across the road. Normally at NTA you make a U-turn to go back towards Marina, towards mainland. But there was a petition, I think it's still there in front of NTA, not exactly in front, but that time that you make a U-turn. And there was a road that led to a NEPA office. I drove, I didn't make the U-turn, I drove into that alley and I cried. I cried that a pilot, a demo, could be passed for transmission. So money. I ran back home. My wife was the one who got money for us to go to Abuja for the annual tax conference in May. My wife was the one who lent us money to pay for the demo, the montage, everything. I had a few naira on me. Now, how would I pay for airtime? 300, 350. I went to my friend, Mr. Dele Uru. I told my wife. My wife said she will get money from cooperative loan. I went to my friend. My friend said he had 150,000 naira fixed somewhere. His name is Dele Uru. We met in 1975 at the CMS Grammar School when we started A-levels, HSC, higher school certificate. And we remain friends till today. Dele, you remember that program I was talking about? He said, yes, that he has been asking me. Well, the die is cast, oh yeah. Always willing to help. He said he had this 150, which he fixed, and it was yet to mature. But he was traveling abroad, or he was going somewhere. I should go and see the man, somewhere in Marina, by that old General Post Office headquarters. So I went to see the man. Oh, the man was mad at me. The money has not matured, though. Well, I said, well, he's the owner that that asked me to come for the money. It has not matured. He will not get all his... I said, the man knew now. Write the check in the name of NTA to Channel 5. So wrote that check. I don't know whether it was 145 or 150. He wrote the check in the name of NTA to Channel 5. I told my wife, your own will be for weekly production. I couldn't be getting credit where I was just starting anyway. So I went to NTA. Mr. Ile, I have come. I have half of the money. This will cover you for 6 episodes. After 6 episodes, if you don't pay, we'll yank it off. Remember I said that he asked me who would watch. So they were not too sure that the program will make it. So we started. The rest is history. I kept on going back and forth to Mr. Uru and to my wife. Each episode was about 10,000 or 11,000 or 15,000. I can't remember. Buy petrol, buy this, buy that, buy tapes. We're going back and forth. By the time I was paying Mr. Uru back his money, I paid him about 250,000 instead of that 150, because I had continued to borrow every week, and my wife was borrowing money left, right, and center. So if I'm going to give credit for the beginning of Tax Matters, God Almighty. And I'm not by any means patronizing God. You can't patronize God. That is the simple truth. It's totally by His grace. Then my wife, AMYMAT, my friend, Dele Oworu. Of course, the people that embraced us from the beginning. The then leadership at the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the men and women at the helm of affairs at the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, including the then PRO, Mr. Lawal, at the then Education Tax Fund, Chief Mrs. Oluwatoyin Olakunrin, the chairman, the Executive Secretary, Mr. Jaji, the PRO, Mr. Jacob Alada, my children, Muiwa Junior, Ayodeji, Babawale, my late mom, my sister, my cousin, the Edisho guy, and my brothers, Tola and Taiwo. That was how it all began. The trigger was the harassment by the tax authorities. That burning desire from God, and God showing me the way, what to do. And then, of course, those that we met every step of the way. About the third or fourth episode, we featured Chief David Olorunleke. Now, after about 3-4 episodes, I left the studio in Surulere and transferred to Digitrack Studios at the TBS at the Tafawa Square in Lagos. I had met Chief David Olorunleke at the annual tax conference in May, and I had gotten to know that was the man that was considered and is still considered today as a doyen of taxation in Nigeria. He started as chairman of the Kwara State Board of Internal Revenue. Kwara was the state that now became Kogi and Kwara. So he was chairman of Kwara State Board of Internal Revenue long before Kogi was created. And then he moved to the Federal Inland Revenue Service as chairman. And he was there for about 12 years. He was the first president of the CITN. So I decided that we should interview him. Digitrack Studios was at one end of the TBS. Mr. Olorunleke's company was situated at the other wing. So I just drove across the tarmac and brought him to the studio. When we finished, I was taking him back. He told me how happy he was, how it was a dream fulfilled, that he wished that this was in his own time at the FIRS, blah, blah, blah. That the closest they got to it was a program on accountancy, but a young man died in an accident, and that was the end of the program. That he was very happy that a program was being dedicated to taxation. He brought out an envelope. I said, what was it? He said, as his support. I don't know what got into me. I said, Daddy, I don't want to start this job as a brown envelope journalist. Apologies to my journalist colleagues. I said, I didn't want. He said, what did I want? I said, link me to the FIRS. He said that was not a problem. I should come the following day. He will give me a letter to the FIRS. I went the following day, and the letter was ready, typed. He gave it to me. Again, Mrs. Matuluko, Oyao, I'm going to Abuja. She went around again, got money. I went to Abuja. At the annual tax conference, I had met the chairman, the then chairman of the FIRS, Alhaji Sukogi, just casually. He was actually entering his car. We wanted to interview him. Somebody was stopping us. And the person turned out to be somebody I knew, one Mr. Awa, of blessed memory now. His brother was my colleague at the National Theatre. And we became friends. I and him became friends. So I told him, it's Muiwa Matuluko. He said, yeah. So the following day, at that annual tax conference, I went to the FIRS. I met him. And I left. So when I came with the letter, it was my second time. Of course, a day or two before I went, Mr. Osemene, who was a director at the FIRS and later on also became president of the CITN, called Alhaji Sukogi, the chairman, about me. And Alhaji told him that Chief Olorunleke had told him something about me, something like that. and that he should talk to his friend. And the friend he was referring to was that his special assistant, Mr. Awa. So when I went now with the letter, Mr. Awa, I brought the letter for Oga. So I saw Elijah Kogi. He received me very warmly. In fact, saw me to the door. Tell Oga you saw me. Tell Oga you saw me. He had a lot of respect for Chief Olorunleke. Everybody does. That was the beginning of our relationship with the FIRS. That was the end of our problems, sponsorship problems, money problems. There's never enough money, but then that was how we got out of the woods. We had paid for the first quarter. The second quarter was on. We paid, our own first quarter was the third quarter of year 2000, July to September. Then October to December, we had paid also. FIRS came into the picture in the first quarter of 2001. Because I remember I went for an event and I went to see Alhaji Kogi that I had not had a word, and they said it had been approved, and they paid us. So that was how we began our journey. And went on, and the rest, like they say, is history. So the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, had come on board, and of course we had one or two support from banks, two or three banks at that beginning, one-off, and later on the Education Tax Fund also came on board. So we started having two sponsors.
These pictures show the disarray that was evident in our school system, where deep rot and decay in educational infrastructure and the dearth of learning materials had set in. But the Education Tax Fund, ETF, is set to make a positive difference. With the 2% education tax imposed on the assessable profit of registered companies in Nigeria, additional funds are now available for the rehabilitation and revitalization of our education sector. These are projects undertaken with funding from the education tax. Quality education will now be available in our primary schools. Our secondary schools will be the better for it. Quality education will also be available in tertiary institutions of learning with improved facilities. And our education system will produce persons who are well-rounded in character and learning with the assistance of the ETF. The Education Tax Fund, for the development of sound minds and skilled hands.
Now, immediately the program started, it caught on. The first episode of Tax Matters was broadcast on Wednesday, July 5, year 2000. I deliberately chose late at night because of Lagos traffic. Of course, network service at that time was 8 to 9. 9 to 10 was network news. It's still so today. So it's either you broadcast before 7, because even 7 o'clock, there was 7 o'clock news. So we chose 10 p.m., 10 p.m. Now there was this cigarette brand that was sponsoring, I think, European League or something on NTA, Rothman's Football, they called it. But when it came to 10 p.m. on Wednesday, NTA will hook off and show Tax Matters. They went and complained. So the general manager of NTA2, Alhaji Alami, asked to see me. And he told me this was the problem. They had to move in. They had to move Tax Matters. So they moved it from 10 p.m. on Wednesday to Sunday.
Only two things are certain in life: death and taxes. Taxation is based on confidence.
What strategy can we adopt to make tax administration more people-friendly so that they...
Watch out for Tax Matters on NTA2 Channel 5 every Sunday at 10 p.m. It's informative, it's educative, it's entertaining.
Went on like that, late at night. Then later on, they gave us 7:30 p.m. I can't remember what happened that we now started at 7:30 p.m. And that went on for some time. When Mr. Ben Bruce became the DG of NTA, he said no, that I did not want a serious program at that time of the night. So they pushed us to 6:30. I didn't like it. We didn't like it. Meanwhile, after one quarter at NTA2, we decided I wanted to go to Abuja. Why? Abuja had become the federal capital. Lagos remained the commercial capital. So I went back to my wife. I went back to Mr. Woru. Mr. Woru said, you have not even finished chewing Lagos successfully. You want to add to your problems. I said Abuja was and is the federal capital, and we wanted a presence in Abuja. He said, okay. So, fourth quarter of the year 2000, October, November, December, we joined NTA Channel 5 Abuja to our bouquet. July, August, September, third quarter, NTA 2 Channel 5, Lagos. We joined NTA Channel 5 Abuja. It was, and I think it's still at the old parade ground in Abuja, very close to the International Conference Center. So, we had 2 stations. FRS was sponsoring, the Regional Task Fund joined. Then, NTA Plus was established, and they took the general manager and the marketing manager, very good friends of our program, to NTA Plus. And you know when news stations start, whether TV or radio, they will be playing music, they will be showing entertainment. They asked me to bring Tasman. I said, no, you are playing music, I can't come. They kept on pestering us. Later on, we agreed, and we moved to NTA Plus. NTA Plus, it was known as, is now known as NTA News 24. We moved to NTA Plus in the year 2001, after about 3 quarters or 4 quarters of the existence of Tax Matters. We moved from NTA 5 Abuja to NTA Plus, which is now called NTA News 24. So we were on 2 stations. We moved on from there. Yes, we kept to our focus, taxation, but we didn't dilute, we didn't digress. We constantly renewed ourselves to remain fresh and engaging. We modified the montage. We modified and renewed our sets. Presenters changed from time to time. In 2008, we set up our own non-linear recording and editing suites. We moved with the times. Up-to-date cameras, we upgraded our sets. The backdrops changed from time to time. And we changed presentation styles.
Such an inspiring journey, I would say, and I would say you met favor every step of the way. Now, you've spoken about the reception from the tax profession, that's the CITN, FRS, ETF, and the likes. Like you said, taxation, was perceived then as a hard subject, as a hard topic. But now, we'd like to know, what was the reception from the general public and some other stakeholders like?
The reception was awesome. And I think I can answer some guesses as to what was responsible for it. One is what we said earlier when you asked about the trigger. The dearth of information within the public space. The hunger for enlightenment, for knowledge by the public. As for hazarding guesses as to how it became a hit, I read BA history and I got an F9 in mathematics. And I ventured into tax education. I didn't read economics at degree level. I did O-level economics, OLAWA. I didn't read economics. I didn't read law. I didn't read accounting or accountancy, whatever they call it. And if you ask me to hazard a guess, maybe because this was a layman, I was able to talk to my fellow laymen. I used to comfort myself with the fact that, what's my business if I talk to the expert? He's the one that will talk now. But you also need to know what to ask the expert. But to God be the glory. We were able to break down the technical matters. We were able to avoid the use of jargons. We were not talking as accountants or as tax practitioners. We were talking to our fellow illiterates, so to say. And so it caught on. And NTA 2 Channel 5 was surprised. Halfway into the first quarter, the general manager, Alhaji Alami, I started boasting about our program. I spoke about Mr. Ile, the marketing manager. He had his colleagues, Mrs. Gladys Ayinde. He had Peter Hiro, and one or two other people. They were so supportive. Recall I said that we paid half of the money. I'm not sure we paid the balance. People help people genuinely. Yes. Mr. Ile and Gladys Ayinde will write to Alami, give this man 30% discount. The following week they will write again, give him 40% discount. Because they knew there was no money, they were happy with the program, and they wanted it to continue airing. I'm not sure we paid the balance for that quarter. And it was just the favor of God and their own truthfulness. Mr. Ile, Mrs. Gladys Ayinde, Mr. Olafajemisi, Alhaji Alamin. So the public embraced it. The only challenge that we had was the non-cooperation of the private sector, of the Nigerian business community. When the idea of tax matters came, we were very clear in our mind what we wanted. We wanted to be a go-between between the taxpayer and the tax collector. Set the taxpayer free. Enable the tax collector to collect what is due. But no mago-mago, no cheating. Nothing like taking advantage of each side. When the idea of tax matters came, it was during the time of bank liberalization. There were 109 banks. I wrote all the banks. I wrote all the banks. That's what you call sponsorship letter. Out of all those 109 banks, only 3 supported us. Eco International Bank, one off. First Bank, one off. Wema, long time, 2-3 years. And the story of Wema is a very interesting one. When I went to Wema to submit that letter requesting for sponsorship, they directed me to the cubicle of the public relations officer, who turned out to be one Mr. Edi Ademosu. When I got to his office, he was on the phone. He gestured me to sit down. I sat down. When he dropped the phone, he asked me why I came. I told him. He said he knew me somewhere. I said, I thought I knew him too. His phone rang again. By the time he finished the call, we discussed why I came. But when I was leaving, and I said, I think I remember where I met you. I met him at a wedding. He was best man, and we attended the party later in the evening. And I was told that he was the son of my primary one teacher. We called him Baba Mata. He was the one that taught a whole generation of primary one pupils at St. Peter and Paul Primary School, Shomolu, a Catholic primary school. Baba Mata was my primary one teacher. His daughter, this sister, was my classmate. That is the Mata. Baba Mata. That's what they called him. So he said, okay, yeah, I said I met you at Ibikule's wedding, blah, blah. I kept on going back to those banks. On my follow-up visits to Wema, Eddie now said I should interview the executive director, who turned out to be Mr. Tunde Lemon. Mr. Tunde Lemon came over to the Digitrack studios. Oh, he shot straight from the hips. Nice gentleman. An interviewer's delight. In this business, if you interview somebody who knows his topic, editing becomes very easy. Even you know the right questions to ask. It's like playing ping pong, what we call table tennis here. Your opponent makes it happen for you. Mr. Tudema was a delight. A few months after, the MD of the bank died, one Alhaji Dosumu. And Mr. Lemo became the MD. Again, on one of my visits, Edi Ademosu asked if I knew that the MD died. I said, yes, I knew. And I had written a letter of condolence, and I had written a letter of congratulations to the new MD. He said, "It don't finish. Don't forget, Mr. Lemo was a guest on Tax Matters as executive director." So he pushed our letter again. So on merit. And Wema picked up presenter's backdrop. You'll see that on the first few episodes. Presenter's backward. We had Wema at our back. FRS was already on board. FRS did not mind. If FRS told us when we were putting FRS in the end credit that we should remove it, they should not think that they are the ones sponsoring. Things were that good. This country was good. So, to go back to my point, corporate Nigeria did not put its money where its mouth was or where its mouth is. Corporate Nigeria did not cooperate with Tax Matters, except for Wema, Eco International Bank, and First Bank. But the rest, like they say, is history. I'm talking about sponsorship of FRS and ETF, the Education Tax Fund of old. I recall an intellectual discussion I had with somebody in the office of the executive chairman when Mrs. Okaru was the chairman of the FRS, Mr. Shegun Shosimi. He said what we were doing was propaganda. I said no. I told him the story of the uncooperative attitude of corporate Nigeria. And I told him that every organization had a right and has a right even today to push its own agenda, to educate its public. And that was what we were doing for FRS. That FRS was not, and you should know, was not interfering in our editorial matters. It was not taking decisions for us. Till today, we do not clear contents with FRS. And I told him that we were pioneers, that a quarter after we started Tax Matters, custom duty started. They may have had it in the pipeline. I remember I went to see the Deputy Comptroller General. I can't recall his name now. And he told me they were also planning their own program. So custom duty started a quarter after Tax Matters. Tax Matters was the first dedicated program on Nigerian television airspace. Tax Matters was the first program sponsored by a government agency on Nigerian television airspace. Today, almost every federal parastatal has its own. So Shosimi and I had that intellectual discussion, and he considered that I was right. Because there's so much on the plate of the FRS. Petroleum tax, companies tax, capital gains tax, withholding tax, stamp duty. There's so much in the plate of the FRS. And FRS was conscious of the fact that there was that information gap. So, that's our story. We were well accepted. We became an instant hit.
That's a good one. Now, if you look at the tax system in 1999, at the resumption of this current democratic dispensation, which of course coincided with the beginning of Tax Matters in 2000, how would you compare that to this era today?
In 1999, FRS was there. The State Internal Revenue Services were there. In fact, Lagos was very prominent. Rivers, Cross River, Kano. When I started Tax Matters, the chairman of LRS was one Alhaji Rabiu. Then one madam came, another, I think Alhaji Rabiu came back, then somebody else. But before 1999, before the return to civil rule, the sole administrators, governors became sole administrators under Abacha. They started employing the services of contractors. I won't mention names so I don't offend anybody. There were these tax consultants, so they called themselves, who were actually contractors, and they were using strong arm tactics to collect taxes. There was a day they locked up Nigerian bureaus. The Lagos Internal Revenue Service locked up Nigerian bureaus, and I'm sure it will be about pay as you earn and maybe business premises. A lot of the sole administrators, a lot of the military governors were doing that. So the civilian regime came May 29, 1999. We started July 2000, just 1 year. We began a revolution. People in that industry, whether as administrators working with the government agencies or as tax consultants working in companies, tax-paying companies or representing individuals, they had a platform. They started talking. The Lagos State government introduced the land use charge. The rate was very, very high. They said they were taking over tenement rate from the local governments. Tenement rate till today is still under local government in the Constitution of Nigeria. Today, as I speak with you, it may change tomorrow. Lagos State said it had discussed with the local governments. It took over tenement rate for them and introduced land use charge. The governor was Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by the grace of God, the president of Nigeria today. The public rose up in opposition. I contacted Professor Abiola Sani, and we spoke to one Ogun at law. He had a practice in London and a practice here. We organized a workshop on the land use charge. People actually paid to come. The Lagos State government sent the special advisor on revenue matters to the governor, Mr. Adepaye. We had a robust discussion. Don't let me be modest and claim all the credit. But Amaka, after that our workshop and a few other things that may have taken place, which is why I said don't let us take all the credit. The rates came down twice. The land use charge is still on today. Some other states have copied it. Abuja has land use charge. Cross Rivers has. Kano has. Rivers has. In fact, almost all the states. But we forced Lagos State to bring down the rates. You asked about the tax terrain, 1999 and now. 1999 was when the consultants were just being moved out of the system, and the Internal Revenue Services staff were coming into their own, so to say. They were not being allowed to do their work. The consultants were doing the work and they were taking 30%, 20% commission. The staff of the various revenue services were idle. It was only the FRS that was doing well. So, when we started, they had opportunities to talk. They were happy. We were going with them everywhere. We would go to the Joint Task Board meetings. The Joint Task Board, by the way, all the state internal revenue services will come. We will go to Edo State, we will go to Kano, we will go to Sokoto. Everybody was happy. They had platform. Albeit just 30 minutes in a week, 25 minutes actually, but they were happy. Everybody was happy. Today, taxation is a topic on the dining table in homes. Today, the federal government came up with 4 tax bills. Hell was let loose. Today, public hearing, new laws. Today, if you want to introduce a new tax, people will hear about it and will talk, because now TV stations talk about taxation in news bulletins. TV stations have business programs and they talk about taxation. This is me telling Oyeleye in the year 2000, a business program with a special bent. Today, if you watch television, if you watch any channel, within 2 hours, taxation will come up. Taxation will come up. When stamp duty was refurbished, hell was let loose. Our program and those that we had encouraged to talk about taxation were the ones that the government now used to talk to the populace. When electronic money transfer, EMT, when it came, hell was let loose. Early in the year 2025, at the public hearings held at the 2 chambers of the National Assembly to consider the tax reform bills, delegations came from hitherto unusual quarters.
It's indeed a great day for our country. I think there is no bill, there is no proposal in the 10th Assembly that has elicited the kind of interest that the tax reform bills have elicited, and understandably so. As an institution and as a house, we've done quite a lot in reaching out to critical stakeholders. We try to build consensus even before presenting these all-important bills to the second reading. Fortunately, they have passed through the second reading, and this is another very important stage.
I'm the DG Northern Elders Forum.
I'm here to represent the Center for Promotion of Sharia,
Representing the Committee of FCT Imams Initiative, the umbrella body of all the Imams.
Harun Muhammad Eze, Deputy Legal Advisor to the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs.
We, as Arewa Consultative Forum,
and I'm here to represent the League of Northern Democrats.
Council of Retired Permanent Secretaries.
Let me repeat, taxation has become a topic on the dining table. That's my best way of answering that question.
Very impressive. Now, you said in the course of this interview that the concept, the idea was met with skepticism. That is, who will watch, like they asked you at NTA too. Now, how did you overcome that challenge?
We overcame that challenge by providence, by the grace of God, by being as simple as possible. Maybe if Muhammad Tuloko and his staff were accountants, maybe they would be too technical. Maybe if they are lawyers, they would be too technical. But these were illiterates who just know how to communicate. And we're communicating. And the public liked it. I can't explain, but that's how we found it. That's how we found it. Simple, easily understandable language. And being everywhere. When we started Tax Matters, the FRS will do management meeting in 6 zones. We have 6 zones in the country. We have 12 months in a year. The Joint Tax Board would meet quarterly. Annual tax conference will hold. Workshops will hold. Seminars will hold. Every week we're in a different state of the country. With CITN, with FRS, with Joint Tax Board, we were everywhere. Everybody, in fact, 2 or 3 states asked us to come and do program for them. I remember Rivers State particularly. And I told the woman, our hands are full. She said, you are the only one that can do this job. I said, I beg, madam. Don't forget, Tax Matters was only 25 minutes in a week. We had to pack everything into it. FIS will do 6 meetings in 6 regions and do the general one, the national one, in Abuja in January. So every month, we will see chairman of the state, we will see chairman of FRS, we will see president CITN, we will see taxpayers coming to complain. During the tenure of Mrs. Ifeko Omogui Okaru, when we were putting together the national tax policy, we went with the committee around the country. We followed the committee around the country. Every state of the federation. The same thing happened with the efforts to amend the tax laws. Tax Matters was part of the process from the beginning to the end. FRS Establishment Act 2007, CETA Amendment Act 2007, the Personal Income Tax Act was delayed. That is always contentious. It came in 2011. PPT was also amended. We were part of everything. Everything. And then, of course, the stations now started talking about taxation. We will go to an event. Network service will come. AIT will come. It will be on air that evening. My staff will say, they have shown that event. I say, they have shown it in 1 minute. Wait until we finish our own now. So I will tell FRS, I will tell ETF, I will tell CITN, I will tell Joint Tax Board. We are not competing with the news networks. So they will give you that immediacy, that currency on that day. That will be all. Even if the president was at an event, their report of 1 minute, the president will not talk. Tax Matters will now give you 10 minutes, 15, 20, 25. Even 5 minutes will be fine. That was the program that was looked forward to. And so, from 1 station to 2 stations, this was year 2000. By 2008, FRS told us to go on to radio by themselves. In 2005, we had some break. The new chairman then, Mrs. Okaru, had told them to review the program and review their communication objectives. We continue to cover events. We broadcast. I think we stopped for about a quarter. Then they called us and said we were fine. I remember when Mr. Yao, he died in the Bellevue crash. He called us at the end of August, early September, that we had overcome. And we thank God. And they said we will start in October, the 4th quarter, October, November, December. Immediately we started in October, there was that accident of Bellevue, and he died October 2005. So, October, November, December, 4th quarter of 2005, we came back strong and went on like that. 2006. In 2007, we went network. We wanted to go further afield. So we approached the FRS and it was approved middle of or the 3rd quarter of 2006 of six that we could go network. But one thing led to the other, and we started January 2007. But there was a problem. We were given morning, 11 a.m. We went to complain. I think it was 10 a.m. And we were told that they were trying to encourage morning viewing. Of course, they had made a success of one-on-one. Fumi Yonda was on NTA Channel 10, Lagos, Morning Bird, well watched. But I told them that our program was a special program. We struggled to no end. By the second half, they took it to 12:30 p.m., 12:30 p.m. on Friday. And I recall that the first JTB meeting, joint task board meeting we went, somebody from the north said, that's our Juma time. So we struggled. We went back to FRS. FRS was ever supportive, and it's still like that till today. We went back and said, let us now syndicate. What did you mean by that? I said, instead of the network, we will choose their major stations in the zones. They said, okay, they will study our proposal. By the time they were getting back to us, they told us that we should add radio. So 2008, we got onto radio, 12 stations, 14 TV stations. So Tax Matters was now on radio. Tax Matters was now on more TV stations, from 1 station to 2 stations, from network to 12 stations. Among the 12 stations was AIT, network. We started on Africa Independent Television in the year 2008, July 2008, and we were on AIT for 10 years. From 2008 to 2018. So NTA News 24, or maybe it was still NTA Plus at that time, NTA News, NTA 2 Channel 5 Lagos, AIT, and 9 other stations. 14 TV stations, 12 radio stations. It grew and grew. 2013, we were told to broadcast Tax Matters on every NTA station in the states. We have 36 states in Nigeria. NTA News 24, NTA Plus was in the Federal Capital, making 37, AIT 38, and NTA Knowledge, we had 39 stations. 39 stations, including AIT. In 2015, during the chairmanship of Mr. Fowler, Channels was joined to the bouquet, Channels Television, 2015. And we were on Channels from 2015 to 2023. That's how we grew. The program grew wings, so to say, because everybody wanted to watch Tax Matters.
Very impressive. Now, Tax Matters has been on for about 25 years. That's very commendable. We'd like to know what has kept it going.
Again, I will repeat, the grace of God. And like I said earlier, you cannot patronize God. So I'm being very, very honest. When I pray to God, I tell him, after mathematics, BA history, waiting be my own with taxation. It's just the grace of God. God showing you the way. The people that we came across at NTA at that onset, Oyeleye, Fajemisi, Gladys Ayinde, my seed money providers, Adeomi Abiodun, my wife, and Dele Oworu, my cousin, Dende Shoga, Mrs. John, my sister, my children who were typing. I had bought computer for them. My third child was only 6 years old. He was born in 1994. He was one typing all my letters. All those letters to 109 banks. Babale typed them. Ayo typed. Muiwa typed. Special tribute to Mr. Dada Adeboyejo of blessed memory, who designed the Tax Matters logo that is still in use till this day. That Ogaga who did the montage. The people at Digitrack, their MD, Ajedidun, Tunde Ajedidun, Ade Adebisi, Cornelius, Umanelu Soro, and of course the editor, Tosin Jolugbo. At the FRS, I cannot begin to mention names. We met favor every step of the way. By the way, at the FRS, we started with Alhaji Zukogi. It was succeeded by Mr. Fatoki in acting capacity. Then Alhaji Balaba Manu came from Union Bank. It was succeeded by Mrs. Ifeko Okaru. Then Alhaji Kabiru Mashi acted. Mr. Ogbeson acted. Mr. Tunde Fowler came in. It was succeeded by Malam Muhammad Nami. Then Dr. Zakir Zarideji. We passed through 9 executive chairmen. You can imagine the number of people who were their coordinating directors, who were their directors. We met favor every step of the way. Half of them do not know my name. Tax Matters, Tax Matters, Tax Matters. I became a working brand. At the CITN, the president who was outgoing when we started was Chief J.B. Okele. He was succeeded by Ayewumi, on and on and on like that till today. Nobody at CITN has said, who is this? Of course, the chairman of FRS is the chairman of Joint Tax Board, but the states change their chairman like underwear. We met favor every step of the way. And I commend my staff. Dedicated, committed, and blessed by God Almighty. We will do nights. When I started, one of my supporters, he also contributed money. My cousin, the Indonesian guy, said, is this enough for you to eat? Quote and unquote. I said, what do you mean? He said, will it keep you busy? I said, it's by mouth you say it's a weekly program, but you try, and it turned out to be like that. If you traveled, if you went to another tax conference 4 days, you didn't want the story to be stale, because the stations will have blown the matter, the newspapers will have published photographs. So after some time, we will take equipment to Abuja or wherever they were holding the annual tax conference, because we've had annual tax conference in Calabar, in Uyo, in Kaduna. We will carry equipment. We will start capturing, start editing, so that we will not be stale. You do a management meeting in FRS, they will blow it on television in the night, and you wanted to broadcast on Tuesday or Wednesday. To God be all the glory, and to my staff, kudos. Successive staff, but we were lucky. A lot of them will stay decade. We've celebrated 3 of them 10 years anniversary, to show you how we're able to retain our staff.
Take us through the success milestones, that is, how the program grew to become what it is. How was the journey like?
It's been an eventful journey. We became an instant hit, even if I say so myself. We have said several times that we started broadcasting on July 5, year 2000. And remember, I also said in response to the question of the marketing manager at NTA2, what kind of program? I said, a business program with a special bent, which is taxation. So we didn't dilute, we didn't digress, we didn't miss our way. It was purely taxation. But can you believe that by 2002, 2 years after, NTA2 Channel 5 gave us Business Program of the Year. That was not something small, because it's not like today where you have about 35, 50 stations running all over the place. NTA2 Channel 5 was the prime station. That's the simple fact. NTA2 Channel 5 was the prime TV. It was the station to watch. We had a specialized program, and yet they gave us the Business Program of the Year 2002. The event was a big event held at one hotel on Aolo Road, Ikoyi. The CITM was represented by Mrs. Balogun, who was already president of the institute at that time. Of course, my wife was in attendance. Before that, immediately we started, I recall that the Lagos District Society felt that, this was not something that they should fail to support. Of course, we were in Lagos, and there was this Lagos District Society of the CITN. Prince Quadri, who later became the now president of the CITN, Mr. Ade Adedayo, who also later became president of the CITN, Mrs. Eyitayo, who later became ICANN president, one Mrs. Alao, a lot of them, they supported us. The Lagos District Society decided to support the quiz of the week. We had quiz of the week. We would put a question out, and people would call us by telephone. Internet was just developing, but we had our ways of people replying us, and we'll give a price of 200 naira for the winner of the quiz of the week. The Lagos District Society said no. They produced a clock, branded clock, Lagos District Society, which was our prize for quiz of the week. We went on like that. The District Society gave us a merit award thereafter. In a book titled Federal Inland Revenue Service and Taxation Reforms in Democratic Nigeria, published in the year 2012, the FRS paid glowing tribute to us in 6 pages, pages 517 to 522. In 2014, the CITONs gave us merit award. In 2016, PwC decided to endow a prize for tax educators, media organizations promoting taxation, disseminating tax knowledge. Tax Matters won the premier edition, 500,000 naira. That was good money in 2016. 500,000 naira with a plaque to boot. During the tenure of Mr. Cyril Ede, the CITONs gave us merit award. In year 2020, the COVID year, the CITN gave us merit award. It's been a pleasant journey. It's been a pleasant journey with support from everywhere, from the viewers, from sponsoring organizations like the FRS, the Education Tax Fund, with the tax professionals who were happy that a program was there to give them their voice. It's been a pleasant journey.
As a way of wrapping up, we know that there is no success or any success story without, some challenges along the way. We would like to know, did you at any point feel like giving up?
At no time did I think of giving up. And as a person, I don't dwell on challenges. If I do, I will not, with my BA history, go into tax education. I used to joke with myself at the onset that I could and I can produce a program on health, and you will think I'm a doctor. It's the grace of God. It's been the grace of God all the way. But I don't dwell on challenges. Anytime challenge came in my way in the course of these 25 years of producing Tax Matters, I'll just turn to God. And I'm not saying that loosely. I remember there was a time we used to have 3-year challenges. We started in the year 2000. The first challenge was not actually 3 years. It was in end of 2002. Under that chairman, I won't mention his name, we got a letter that we should stop Tax Matters. And I went to see him. Okay, I got this letter. He said they wrote to all contractors. I said, I'm not a contractor, sir. He was shocked. What do you mean by your name? I said, I'm not a contractor. I'm a service provider. How do you make your money? The difference between what you pay me and what I pay the station and what I use for producing. He said he liked me. He said since he got to this seat, everybody that came was just, I want to supply fridge, I want to supply chairs. And he got irritated. He said his problem was that there was no money. At that time, today he talk about the price of crude in the international market, $70, 75. In late 2002, early 2003, a barrel of crude on the international market hovered around $28 per barrel under Obasanjo's regime, and we sailed through. So the chairman told me that there was no money that he was managing, that he was giving his tax offices 20,000 naira per month, and he was asking himself, what was that money for? Was that for diesel or for telephone? But I like you, we'll see what you can do. They met, and he said we should continue. The legal advisor called me and said, where did you know that man from? I said, I didn't know. He said, the man brought the matter to the meeting. I was talking on your behalf. I said, well, it's the grace of God. And I meant it. That was what I told Mrs. Oshijo. I said, it was the grace of God. He said, wherever you pray, however you pray, continue. We overcame that. 2005, the new chairman said they should go and look at their communication objectives and look at the importance of this program to them. In fact, she asked me, how did I start? I told her. She asked me if I pay taxes. I said yes. Why did I pay? I said because the government was trying its best. That when I was doing my master's, we had a clinic at the campus. I was working, we had a clinic at the National Theatre, that they will bring paper for us to fill, this payee form, very big. Write that you have 4 children and a wife. And I said I was not married. How can I write 4 children? She was impressed. Anyway, like I told you earlier, at the end of that 2005, they now said we should come. So 3 years while 2002, 2005. And I will tell God, me, I'm not through with tax matters. So if you are through with it, show me another way. I want to go to radio. I want to go to network. That's what I was telling God, though. He's my witness. That was 2005, the second 3-year wahala. 2007, we did network. 2008, we got onto radio. Do you understand me? Then, 2011, another problem came. 2015, when Mr. Fowler came, they also wanted to reorganize the department. Consultant came from outside. We survived. We survived. Should we drop NTA if you like channels? He said no, he wanted channels. Should we drop AIT? Okay, let's use AIT, Abuja and Lagos. When they came back, they said continue with AIT. So we're using AIT network, channels network, 14 other TV stations. And the budget that they were trying to review jumped from 10 naira to 30 naira. So, at no time did I think about giving up. I knew it to come to an end one day, but I always said to myself, when God is through with tax matters, He will let me know. When I am through, I will hand over. So, at no time did I think of giving up. Like I told you, 9 chairmen, which means you have to introduce yourself to the new power that be at any time. Abi, go and try that with any government agency, and you will know that God made me strong.
So before we let you go, what are your plans?
What are my plans? It's only God that plans. My plan is a daily plan. We started with VHS. Then they said, don't use VHS, use Super VHS. It's sharper. Use Betacam. Use Flash. We were sending our materials by courier. Before COVID, we were experimenting with uploading. Some were resisting. When COVID came, they lapped it up. We stopped courier. That was not our own making. We will send episode to the station 10 minutes to the broadcast because they trusted us. The standard practice in broadcasting, send your material 24 hours before broadcast because they have to preview those events that I spoke about. You will come back and start editing overnight. Our episode will get, I won't mention names of stations, 10 minutes to the broadcast. We will be watching out with bated breath. We just say, banana, and say, hey, Amaka, it's on, no. You experienced it, didn't you? So what are my plans? I don't have any plans. Every day, wake up and do your work. It's like a staff coming to say I'm leaving. Will I tie the staff down? I'm the only constant feature now, Abi, on the human side. But God is the everlasting feature. Abi? As long as taxation remains an activity, and it will not stop, because government anywhere in the world, everywhere in the world will depend on taxation. As long as taxation remains a human activity, as long as taxation changes on a daily basis like it does, program like ours will remain relevant. We've seen some competition. Lagos State has its own program. We've seen a few online, because today you don't need a physical TV station to broadcast. So we run across podcasts on the internet, on YouTube. What are my plans? I have no plans. Just follow the guidance of God. Follow the wave. And like I told God 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when He is through with tax matters, let us know.
It is on that note that we thank you, Mr. Muyiwa Matulugo. It's been a pleasure having a chat with you and also joining with you on this journey. I'm joining with you on this journey of the program Tax Matters. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.